All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Google Tools, Drive and Docs Basics for Productivity. My name is Ashana Wongwing, and I'm a part of the Technology Training Team, also known as T3. And I'm going to get started today with our webinar. Just so you know, here are a few reminders. When you entered, your microphone was muted. Please ensure that it remains muted for the duration of the webinar. In order to understand that it's muted, it will be highlighted red. If you see that it's gray, then that means your microphone is on. So you're going to make sure that your microphone is turned off and it's illuminated red. Also, ensure that your camera icon is illuminated red as well, because we want to maintain your privacy and make sure that all the cameras are off, because when we have a lot of cameras working within the webinars, it can slow down the process at times. So cameras off, microphones muted for the duration of the webinar. Any questions that need to be asked can be placed in the chat. Please do not unmute yourself to ask a question. If there are any issues with sound, I have colleagues in the webinar that are chatting with me, so they'll let me know if there are any issues. All right. The chat window, I'll show you more about the panel now. So the first two icons on your participant panel at the bottom of your screen are for the microphone or handset and the camera icon, and those should be illuminated red as I stated before. The little person will let you see the participants that are within our webinar today. There's a chat icon. If you need to ask a question, you can click on the chat icon and that will give you access to the chat and you can place your question there. Finally, when at the end of the session, please click on the X to exit the webinar. No, this session is being recorded. This is really another reason why it's important for you to remain muted for the duration of the webinar, so that the sound is clear and there are no interruptions. We will be posting the recording to this webinar on the website once our webinars are completed. So we thank you for following those steps. Reminder, stipends are not offered for summer sessions, all right? So just a reminder for you. You will be participating in a poll within WebEx. I'm not sure if any of you have utilized the poll, participated in a poll before. If you completed the Powering Down School Year 2020 training, then you have participated in a poll before within WebEx. Either way, the poll will show up below the chat screen. On the right side of your screen, it will show up below the chat area, and you will see it looks very similar to this image right here. And we will be providing 60 seconds to complete each poll. And we will also announce when the poll is closing. So we will be using the polling feature to ask you questions and see where you're at with the content that we're covering today. Once again, welcome to Google Tools, Drive, and Docs Basics for Productivity, Technology Training Team, T3, and this is also our website at the top, bit.ly/PGCPS remote teaching. And then we also, I think we have the other website as well. I'll let you know that before the end of the session. And you can find us on Twitter at T3PGCPS. And here are your presenters today. Your presenters are myself, Ashana Wongwing, and then we have Gina Tuzo and Sarah Thomas. All right, Gina will be holding it down in the chat. So she will be holding it down there. So if you have any questions, she'll be answering your questions. And Sarah will be presenting on the docs section later on. I'll be presenting on Drive. So we look forward to being with you today. We are getting ready to start the welcome poll, okay? The welcome poll is 2 questions, just to gauge your knowledge on Google Basics, Google Drive and Docs Basics. Or just Google in general. We have 2 questions for you. The poll window will appear below the chat. Respond to each question by selecting an answer and click submit when you're done. All right. So the first question was, which was not a Google tool? Which was not a Google tool? PowerPoint. Also, the second question asks, which one was not free with your PGCPS G Suite access? And the one that is not free is Google Voice. So if you mark those two answers, then you got them correct. All right, and we hope you like that polling feature. We will be stopping after the Google Drive section to have to ask some more questions using the poll before we move into the Google Docs section. All right, so Google Tools, Docs, and Drives, basics for productivity. What is Drive? All right, so we're gonna get into talking about what Drive is. All right, so we have G Suite overview, Google Suite for education. So Google Drive is a place where we store, create, and share files with colleagues. Somewhat, it's like a file cabinet. I love that image because for me, pictures really remind me of it just helps me understand things. So when I see that, think of a file cabinet, I think of Google Drive because Google Drive will store all of the different files. So if you have a classroom, Google Docs, slides, forms, all of those different apps are with all the files that you have for those different apps will be stored in Google Drive. So we call it the cloud. It's like a place in the internet that stores all of your information, all of your files. All right. And we will be going over Docs today too. That's why this one is highlighted because that is the Google app we will be discussing along with Drive. All right. Why would you choose Drive? All right. So why would you choose Drive instead of, some of you have flash drives still, or you have or you save everything on your computer, on the hard drive on your computer. Well, Drive, the benefit to using Drive is you can access it anywhere from your phone, from the web, and even access it offline. A perfect example is I'm looking through the slides on my phone as I'm presenting. So I can access Drive anywhere. Unlimited storage with our PGCPS G Suite accounts, you have unlimited storage. And that's not for your personal, but for your PGCPS, there's unlimited storage. Store any file type. So if you have images, if you have docs, if you have slides or PowerPoint presentations, all those old files you used to have from Microsoft Word files or any of the Microsoft Office files, you can save them into Drive, and we'll talk about how you can convert them to a little bit later. You can share your files. This is the most beneficial part about Drive is that you may be working on something with a team and you can share that document, those files with other people on your team. You can email large files. So you can add the files from Drive in your email to share with others. And PGCPS is a Google Apps district. So you really want to be familiar with Google Apps because we are a Google Apps district. All right. Google Drive basics. All right. You can add, edit, share, organize, and create. So all within Google Drive, you can add files, you can edit files, you can share them with other people, organize them to make them nice and neat, like you would organize your file cabinet, and you can create files from within Drive. And we're going to touch on all of those today. All right. So I'm going to take you into Drive, the live version of Drive in a second, but first I wanted to talk about some basics about where you find it. So there's an app launcher when you're in your email. It looks like it's 9 squares. We call it the waffle sometimes, but it's called the app launcher, and you can find that within your Drive or within your email, and I'll show you that in a second. When you click on the apps launcher, you will then see the different Google apps. In order to access Drive, you would look for the one that looks kind of like a triangle, but you're going to look for the Drive icon, okay? Once you click on that, you'll get to open up your Drive. just a little bit of basics about Drive once we get in there. So Drive, you will see different labels on the left-hand side. These are the different areas of your Drive. You can sort your Drive. So you can sort it so that by the name, so it's alphabetical. And you can also notice that some of these have file folders. I have file folders in my Drive. You can also change the view. You can view it as little snapshots or view it in a list format. And another thing is the activity and details. You can see, well, who was the last person that accessed the file, who edited it last, and when was the file created, things like that. And you could also see the last date modified for the files as well, okay? About the labels, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the labels that you see on the left side of the screen in Drive. The first label, it allows you to create new files or folders within your Drive. So this is like if you're going to put something new in that file cabinet, or you're going to add a new file to that file cabinet. That is how you would add something to Drive, okay? In my Drive, that is where you will find all the files that you created, all the files that you uploaded, all the folders that you own. What that means is own is you are the owner. That means you have the rights to change that document, to delete that document, change the sharing access to that document, or folder or file or anything like that. And items you added to my Drive. Okay, so that's important because a lot of people sometimes get confused about my Drive. And my Drive is your personal file cabinet. That is everything that you added to your Drive and shared with me. This is where you will find all of the folders and files that were shared with you from someone else. Because sometimes people say, I can't find a folder or a file. Well, it could be that you didn't add it to your Drive, but someone shared it with you. So you would find that in shared with me. Okay. And finally, the recent. Well, not finally, because there's other sections there, but recent. That's my favorite because I don't have, if I know that I was just working on something, then I just go straight to recent and I'll find the most recent file I accessed. So that's exactly what I did today to get to the presentation. I went to recent and went right to the presentation because I know that was the most recent thing I was working on. Okay, so that's a little bit about the label list. All right. Finally, for this portion, there are 3 options for viewing your files. Okay, so sometimes people say, okay, well, there are different ways you can view them. You can view them by the name, and you can change the way it's organized in A to Z or Z to A by clicking on that little arrow next to name. This is like how you would sort your files and folders. You could view by date modified or open status. That's another helpful one. So if I view by last modified, I know that the most recent document in my Drive that was modified will show up first. Okay, last modified or last modified by me or last opened by me. So that's how you can another way you can sort. Finally, you can switch between the grid or list view. Some people like to see the little, and I'll show you that in a second as well, as soon as we get in there. The grid or the list view, okay? And now we're gonna get into Drive now, okay? And talk about adding files to Drive and copying files, and as well as adding files from your mail, okay? All right. So I'm gonna go to my Drive from my email. From my email, if I go to the app launcher and I go to Drive, all right. All right. So as you can see, all the things I just went over, you can see the label list on the left side. I can see where I could add files. I can also see the different areas, my drive shared with me, recent. I can also see my files. Remember I talked about sorting by name. You can click that arrow to sort, change the way it's sorted from alphabetical, and then I can see last modified. So you just see a little view, you get to see the view now within Drive. So I'm within my Drive, or my virtual file cabinet, as we called it, you know. All right. And so we're going to talk about the 3 different ways to add files to Drive. But oh yes, another thing in the right corner, if you see the little grid view, I can see it as a grid where it will show me the little blocks. It looks like little rectangles. Or I can do the list for. I like the list view. Okay, I prefer that view. All right. So how can I add a file to Drive from my computer? I have this Word document on my computer. I wanted to add it to my Drive. I go to, there are different ways you can do it. You can either drag it into your Drive. So if I have this doc on my computer, I could simply drag it, and I think I do have it on the computer. This is I'll just upload it the other way. Okay, so I go to New and File Upload, and on my desktop I have a Google Doc. I'm going to click on that doc and select Open. And now I can see in the bottom right corner, it says my upload is complete and my file has been uploaded. Another thing you could do is, if you have a folder on your computer with multiple files in it that you don't want to have to upload each individual file, you can go to New and Folder Upload. So you can upload a full folder of documents. So if you know you have a lot of documents that you worked on your computer and you want to make sure that it's stored somewhere, you don't lose it, that's the easiest way to upload information into your Drive. Okay. All right. Another thing is, I can also make a copy of a file. That's another way of adding a file. So sometimes people share files with you. I'm going to open up a file. Sometimes people share files with you, and you want a copy of it you want a copy for yourself. If you go to File and click Make Copy, it will allow me to have a copy of this in my file, in my Drive. Okay, and I can actually name it differently so that I know that this is the copy I made for myself. Okay, so I showed you how to upload a file, and I showed you how to upload a file and how to make a copy. And the next way you can add a file is from your email. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, if I go to my email, I sent myself an email a little bit earlier, and in my email, there is a file an image that I sent myself. If I hover over that image or that document or whatever file that is in the email, I can click on this little section that says Add to my Drive, Add to Drive, and it will add to my Drive. Okay, so that's the third way you can add to Drive. All right, and we talked about that. So we just went over uploading from your computer, copying a file, and adding from your email. All right. Next section, we're going to talk about editing Drive files. Okay, editing Drive files, opening in Google Docs, converting to Google Docs, and Drive settings for conversions. Okay. All right. So why would we need to convert a file? Well, some of you have been working in Microsoft Word and you upload these files from your computer into Drive, and they're still in Microsoft Word format. They're not in Google Docs format, okay? And you can't edit it. And so you will see an image. I'll show you right now how that looks. So remember that file that I had uploaded? I'm going to click on it. I uploaded this from my computer, and it's still in Word format, right? Well, I can't edit this. If you ever upload a document like, well, I can't edit this. It's still in Microsoft Word format. So I need to go to the top where it says Open With and click on Open with Google Docs, okay? All right. Now, I opened it with Google Docs. I want you to pay attention to something. At the top, it says, I see something. It says Docs, and it says Microsoft Word format. It used to be that once you uploaded it, it automatic, and you said open with Docs, it automatically changed it to Google Docs format. There's an additional step now, and the additional step is you have to go to File and click Save as Google Docs. And so now you have officially have a Google Doc, okay? Now you may ask, why do I have to take that extra step? I could just simply edit it this way, right? I could just edit it in this format where it's Microsoft Word format. But the thing is, there are some small things that you're unable to do if you do not fully change it and save it as a Google Doc, okay? I'm not very clear on the exact reason, the exact things that you're unable to do, the different things that you're unable to do within this format and the other format. We just suggest that you can use its full capabilities in Google, in G Suite, by saving it as a Google Doc, okay? All right. Okay. All right, so we talked about saving it as Google Docs. Another thing is within settings, there's an option to convert uploaded files to Google Docs editor format. You can actually click that in your settings if you want that to automatically take anything that's in Google, that's in Microsoft Word format, automatically convert everything to Google Docs. That may make your life easier. So how do you do that? I'll show you. You go to settings, go to settings, the little toolbars, it looks like a wheel, cog wheel. Go to settings, and then you can click the option that says convert uploaded files to Google Docs editor format. That if I click on that and click done, it will automatically convert those files to Google Docs format when you upload them from Word. I'm not going to select that because I need to show the capability of changing it. So I'm not going to select that for myself, but if you want to make your life easier, you can select that, okay? All right. Let's see, sharing. So we've gone through adding, we've gone through editing. Now we're on to sharing. This is the part sometimes people struggle with the most within Drive, is sharing. And they shared with the wrong people, or they share it with someone and the person can't edit it. So let's talk about sharing. So when you share with people, so I have this doc here, right? And I'm going to share. I can share it with Gina. All right. And I can also say what kind of access I want Gina to have. Do I want her to be able to view it, comment on it, or edit it? If we're working in a team, then I need to make sure I give her editing access, okay? If it's something that you just need someone's feedback on, you can give them commenting access. And if it's something that you just want to share with someone, you can select viewing, okay? And also, if you want to make sure that the person knows that you shared this with them, you have to ensure that notify people is on. Because if you don't have this box checked, it's just going to be in their Drive. They're not going to get an email saying, Ashana shared this file with you. Okay? So you want to make sure that the notify people is selected. Right. That's one way. All right. Another thing is I can go to the share with people settings, and you can select if you want editors to be able to change permissions, and viewers and commenters could see the option to download, print, and copy. Maybe you want to turn those off because you don't want people to copy your things or be able to download it. And you don't want other editors to be able to change their permissions. So that's like a little advanced settings, okay? And what I did was I just clicked on the little cogwheel to get more settings, okay? So I sent that to Gina. I shared that with her. Another option is if I clicked on share again, another option is you can get a link. So sometimes you may see that you get links in your email to docs, or you put a link on a website for a doc. You can copy the link. So I can simply go here and copy the link, right? But the thing is, the access to that link is important. So if I was to copy the link and post it right now, it says restricted, only people added can open with this link. Okay. So I'm going to change the link. I can change the link to PGCPS. So I can change the access. So I can say anyone at PGCPS with this link can view it. What if I want anyone to be able to edit it? Then I can change the link access for that. I probably don't want that. Maybe it's a document I want people to be able to comment on. So I can say anyone with the link can comment, okay? You can also change that. So from PGCPS, what if you're sharing this document with parents? And you want it, maybe it's a file that you want to share with the parents or people who are outside of PGCPS. Then you can change it to anyone with the link can view it, okay? So when you're using a link for a file, it's important that you pay attention to these settings, okay? It's really important that you pay attention to the settings. So the viewer can see and copy the file, the commenter can see and leave comments on the file, and the editor has full rights to that file, okay? Lastly, remember, restricted is only specific groups of people you identify. So that means only the people who you actually send it to, you identify that they can see it. PGCPS is anyone within our PGCPS, and anyone with the link is public, okay? All right, we went over this portion. Oh, I did not go over that portion. There is a section within the Get Link section. It has a little, if you click on the cogwheel, it has advanced settings that it says people in PGCPS can search for the files. So if you want them to be able to search for them, you can click that box for that option there. Oh, we already talked about the advanced options. All right, we're almost done the Drive section. Then I'm handing it over to Sarah for the Google Docs section. Well, first we're gonna have a question and answer session and a poll before we go on to the Google Docs section. Organizing. Oh, I don't know if you guys watch Marie Kondo, but she's very good with organizing. And many people's drives are not very organized. Mine is semi-organized, but as soon as I get it organized, it seems to get messy again, you know, because there's so many files in there. So we're going to talk about being able to search in your drive. So being able to search in Drive, having folders in Drive, and organizing from your email. I love that option, organizing from email. All right, so if you're in your Drive and you're like, I need to find this file and I just can't, I don't feel like searching through this entire Drive. You notice all of my folders are at the top, and if I scroll, I have lots of folders, but all my folders are at the top. But I want to search for a specific file. So I want to search for, I can actually go to this search section and I can say, okay, what is it? I can actually get specific on what I want to search for. So what type of file is it? You know what? It's a presentation. And I can add who the owner is. If it's owned by me, not owned by me, I don't want to do all that. I know I'm looking for a presentation. And in that presentation, the title is, part of the title is powering. Okay, so I'm going to just search that. Oh, there it is. That's the powering down presentation we did. So that's the file I was actually looking for. But to see how it was so much easier, because now only my slides presentation showed up, okay? So that made my life easier because I didn't have to look for, I didn't have to scroll through my whole drive, okay? All right. So that's the easier way to sort. If you just click on this, once again, I'll show you how to do that again. You click on the arrow and you can sort by specific things. Date modified, item name, has the words, if you remember who shared it with you. But to me, the different applications makes it the easiest way to find it for me. Documents, Google Docs, because I know I just created that one. And that file that I just had is right at the top, okay? So that's the easiest way to search, okay? And that's the way to find things in your drive if you're just know that you're not very organized, okay? Folders. Folders, this is really good. You want to make sure that you have folders. You can add folders. You can color code the folders. You can add a folder right here and just title it Google presentation. Whatever you want to title that folder, you create it, okay? And then look, my folder is there now. I can color code it too if I wanted to. I can change the color to red if I wanted to. You can do that. And then I can add things to that folder, okay? So I can add this document that I have here. If I have this document, this Google Doc, I can click on the little folder within that doc, and I can choose to put that in my Google presentation folder. Where is it at? There's my red Google presentation folder. I can move that file right in that folder. Okay. So that's one way of being organized. So that's what, if you have spare time over the summer, you can go ahead and start organizing your drive. Another way to organize is right from your, oh, these are the different options of your folder for your folders. Sharing, you can share a folder with someone, so you can share an entire folder with someone. You can get a link for the folder. You can click to move into a folder. You can rename the folder, change the color. You can even delete the folder if you don't need it anymore, okay? So those are all the different options for a folder if you right click. So if I right clicked on a folder in my drive, I have the various options. Okay. All right. Next is from your sharing folders. Just like you share a document, you can give people rights to just access the folder, or you can give them rights to edit the folder. It's the same idea of when we shared the document just now. I'm going to go back to my email really quickly so I can show you. Do you see how I added that image to my folder before, but it says organize in Drive? That means I can actually organize it. So I can move this item to a specific place in my folder. Let me try to do this again. When you actually first add it, it allows you to organize. But let's see. Well, it allows you to organize from your email. When you first add it, you can organize it and put it in a specific folder. As you see right here, it's saved to Drive. And when you save it to Drive, it will ask you to organize it. And finally, create in Drive. You can create folders. There are core apps and connect more. Because I want to make sure you get to the docs section. All right, so you can add a folder, add new. We talked about this already. Name a folder by clicking create. So all from Drive, you can add a new, you can add docs, sheets, Google Slides from scratch, more. Look at all these different Google apps you have that you can start fresh in Drive, okay? You can add a folder like we said before. So those are the different ways you can start creating in Drive. So if I started creating a Google Doc, it gave me an untitled Google Doc, okay? And I can name it whatever I need to name it, okay? So that's how you can create in Drive. Within Drive, you can also access the app launcher to access the different apps as well, all right? Make sure that you don't miss anything. We talked about the different apps you can create from. There are different apps. There are more apps you can download. So if I go to new and go to more, and all the way at the bottom, I see connect more apps. This will allow me to search for different apps that I can add within from the G Suite Marketplace, okay? All right. So that is a quick review of Google Drive. We're going to get ready to start a poll for you. And when we start this poll, it's going to just ask you a few questions about what you learned about Drive just now. So be ready. Gina's going to get the poll started.
All right, let's take a look at our responses. So storage in your PGCPS, you actually have unlimited storage in your, and I can't quite see all the questions here myself in this particular window.
The storage in your PGCPS Google Drive is limited to 200 gigabytes.
Thank you, which is false. You actually have unlimited storage, which is a really cool thing, but don't be tempted to put personal items in your Google Drive. Anything in your work/business account should be work or business related, okay? Anything that's not work related that you put into your Drive account falls under the domain of PGCPS having rights to it. So you want to make sure you don't put anything in there you don't want shared at work. And then our next question, how can you add files to Drive? So you actually can make a copy, you can upload, you can drag and drop, but you cannot download files into Google Drive. We don't download, we upload when we're adding, all right? Then where are files that colleagues have shared with you stored in your Google Drive? Well, they do get added to your drive, often referred to as my drive. But if you didn't create the file, if you're not the owner, they actually go into a folder known as shared with me. Okay. So I hope you found that poll to be up to par with what was presented so far here today. So I am going to pass this back to Ashana now. So that, and I believe Sarah's going to jump in and join us as well.
All right, good morning to everyone. Super excited to be here with you all today. We're going to go to the next section of our presentation, which is all about Google Docs basics. So we're going to discuss some basics of one of the tools specifically you can access in your Google Drive, which is Google Docs. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Okay. So in your Google Docs, as Ashana said before, if you are familiar with other word processing tools, and you'll probably find Google Docs to be user-friendly. You'll see many of the same functionality that you see in other things such as Microsoft Word. So you'll have that basic functionality available. So right now what we're going to do is that we're going to take a look at some of the features. So the very first thing that we're going to look at is the insert menu. So Shauna, if you could please go to a blank Google Doc, then that would be awesome. Okay, so Ashana is now in a blank Google Doc, and you will see, oh, I'm sorry, she is in a in a DOCX. So that's so let me see if you can just close that one out. There we go. All right, perfect. So from the insert menu, then you'll find that you can insert things such as images and tables, which are very helpful in sprucing up our document and making it even more functional than it was before. So you can, let's talk first about inserting images. So you can insert an image from any of multiple sources, as you can see on the Shauna screen. So you can upload from the computer. So if you have a file that is located on your computer, you can just upload it. In addition, you're able to search the web for an image that you would like. If you have images within your Google Drive or Photos, or if you have the LinkedIn one, or even a camera, if you have a webcam, then and your computer recognizes it, then you'll be able to, take a selfie or hold something up to the camera, whatever you want to do. So you're able to do all of these different things here. So let's go ahead and do an example with search the web. So if I wanted to put in a picture of a school, then I could just type in school, as Ashana's doing right now, and she could just search. And these images are free and available for us to use. So we can just go ahead and click on one, and it will appear within our doc once we click on the insert button. Okay, so there we go. Very, very simple. Great. Now let's take a look at something else that we can add to our Google Doc. We can also add a table. So you may have seen tables and being able to easily add information and make it look very organized. So if you go to the insert menu and you click on table and you just kind of drag out however big you want your table to be. So we can make it like, let's say 3 by 5. So Ashana is just kind of dragging out the dots to however far we want it to go. Perfect. So she can click on that, and as you see, table has now appeared, and we can even more easily add and organize our information. Okay, great. Now another thing that we'll be able to add to our Google Doc. Let's look at the presentation. So we just talked about images, inserting images, and we saw the different ways that we could insert images and inserting a table. So it's as easy as drawing out the number of rows and columns. Now the next thing that we are going to look at inserting is a hyperlink. So a hyperlink is pretty much a clickable word or image in your document, and it really helps to keep your Google Doc looking clean. So as Ashana did, then you can access hyperlinks. You can insert hyperlinks by going to the insert menu and then clicking on hyperlinks. So now you have a dialog box that appears. So in the top box where it says text and you have the flashing cursor, you can type the text that you want to appear. So let's put in PGCPS website. And then right underneath it, then it will allow you to either search or add a link. You see that it gave us our very first hit, which is indeed our PGCPS website. So it'll actually search and give you what it believes is the best fit, or you can just type in the link itself. But then you can click on the apply. And once you do that, you see how instead of having that big long link, pgcps.org, then you can just click on the words pgcps.org. And the very first time you click, then you'll see a preview. And then if you click on it again, then it will actually open the website. So there we go. So it is easy breezy, beautiful. We just saved some time and some energy with the hyperlinks. Okay, great. So the next thing that we want to show you is a really cool tool that you may find very useful, which is called voice typing. So what it will do is that it'll dictate what you say into the text of your document. So if you work with younger students or language learners or students receiving special services, then you might find this very helpful, or even for yourself for productivity. So the way that you would access it is by going to the tools menu. Then you click on tools and you'll see that voice typing is right there. where Shauna is hovering. So go ahead, click on that. All right. Now, you'll see that there is a microphone that appears on the left side, and Shauna can go ahead and click on that. And now, when I talk, then it should put the text of my writing or my speech into the Google Doc, as you can see. Period. So I also have to mention my punctuation because it's just going to literally type out every single thing that I say. But you see that it's going pretty quickly. It's keeping up with me as I'm speaking, period. Go ahead and please stop that. Thank you, Ashana. Fantastic. You'll also see that there's a drop-down menu that lets you do different languages. So if we were to go down to French, for example, I used to work at a French immersion school for a very long time. So français right there. Then we'll do just one more demo. So Ashana, if you could please click on that. Bonjour, c'est Sarah et maintenant je parle français et ça met ça dans le document. Thank you. So you can go ahead and stop that. And you see that it has also placed the language into the document. So so it got me for the most part. My accent is pretty thick, so I didn't quite understand what I was saying. But if you teach world languages, or if you know, if you wanted to use voice typing in a different language, and you have that option as well. Also, one thing to note is that the very first time you do it, it may have a confirmation message asking you to enable Microsoft access, or I'm sorry, microphone access. So just click on allow if it does that. Okay. So we just did this slide here with voice typing, and on the next slide, it talks a little more about the languages. So a couple more things that we want to show you. The next thing is the explore function. I absolutely love this, and hopefully you will too. So when we're in our document, then you'll see on the bottom right corner, then you'll easily be able to import your research and citations. So let's go ahead and click on explore. And you'll see that this tool allows you to access the Google search engine without having to leave and open a new tab. So let's go ahead and search for uh, remote learning. Okay. So if we type that in and hit enter, then we will get our search results back. And we have so many different sources. You see that web hits up top. We also have images that we can look into. Okay, so you see our different images. It can even search our drive from here. So this is really, really cool. So let's say that we have something that we want to cite as a footnote. So this hit is fantastic. So we can just go ahead and say that's what we want to cite. So go ahead and click on the citation, and you will see that it will drop a footnote. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, then you see it has linked to our what is remote learning. So our very first hit. And I believe if you click on the if you click on the link, then it'll take you to that website itself. So that is great. So you can actually see that. And also, if you click on the three dots under the Explore, Ashana, yeah, right there, then you can change your citation format. So some of you who may be taking grad school classes, you know, I know that in my programs there were sticklers for APA, so you'd be able to change the format right there. So that is really, really cool. Okay, so you can cite your sources with ease. Yeah, I see Tia's comment. I needed this in college. Yes, my goodness, this thing is amazing. All right, so if we could bounce back to the presentation really quickly. So we talked about the Explorer. We talked about how to cite sources. The last thing that we are going to talk about is comments. So within our Google Doc, let's say that there's something that I want to share. I want to get Gina's attention on something. So all we would have to do if we want to get Gina to respond to something. So our PGCPS website, you see when Ashana is kind of clicking and dragging over it, then on the right side, there is a plus icon, and I can just add a comment there. So when Ashana clicks on add a comment, then she could say something like, "Hey Gina, here is our website," or whatever you would say. And you see when she typed in Gina, then it lets you pick a drop down. It lets you pick her name from the drop down because it's connected to our Active Directory. So she's typing in a comment for Gina, and Gina will get this going straight to her email. So so this is excellent. So, and you see that she has checked the box that said assign. Um, so it will appear as something for Gina to do. So she can go ahead and click on assign, the blue assign, and now Gina is assigned an action item. And we just want to make sure that it's shared properly with her. So then Gina now has access. Hooray! So it's assigned to Gina. Now, in addition, if let's pretend that we are Gina now. So go ahead and click on the comment, please, Shauna. Okay, so once she did that, then if we were Gina, then we could go ahead and reply in there, or we could add a response to ourselves. Like, let's say that there's something else that we wanted to add to it, then we could just go in and add the reply. And when we click on reply, you see that it is nested within the comment thread. So this is really, really cool. So you can respond to somebody's comment from within the document. Now, when you have finished with the comment and you want it out of your way, you can just click on the check mark on the very top, and that will resolve it, mark it as done. Okay. Now it's gone out of your view, but if you ever want to access the comments, you can just click on the comment icon top right hand side, and that will open the comment history and you can see everything. Okay, so there we go. Very, very cool. So now we've gone through comments, and we talked about assigning, and we talked about replying, as well as marking things as resolved. So we are now going to go into our very last poll to see what you have learned.
Hopefully you're able to see the poll results now. Where can't you pull images from when putting them in a Google Doc? Well, Instagram. We're not connected from Instagram directly into Google, but you can add them from your drive, from your computer, and you can even search the web. And when you search right inside of Google Docs, those images are already sorted to be used without violating copyright. Okay, you can voice type in multiple languages within a Google Doc. Sarah did a great job of showing us that in our presentation. There's a lot of languages in there, so don't be afraid to play around with that. I also encourage you to try some play around with the voice typing before using it with students, and try some questionable language and see what that results in as well. And then which of the following can you not do with a comment? Well, the only thing you can't do here listed from these choices would be to insert a picture. You cannot insert a picture in a comment. All right. So thank you so much for taking our poll. We are going to post a version of the recording as well as the presentation within a few days onto our T3 Webinar Wednesday site. Our session attendance can also be found there. It is a Google form. I am going to paste the link for that in the chat. So if you are able to, please click the link to complete the attendance form so your attendance for today's session can be marked. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Sarah and Ashana, and I know Tia was here with us today, another colleague. So thank you for everyone that has joined us, your time. We wish you a safe, happy, relaxing, fulfilling summer, and we look forward to seeing you at our next session. We will keep the chat window open briefly for a little bit, just in case there are any last questions. And I will post the link for attendance again. When you click the link, you can either click the link in chat or you can copy and paste it into your browser. When you do, you're going to enter your first name, your last name, your EIN, school level. You'll see that the course attended lists out. We are 13203, Google Tools, Docs and Drives Basics. And then you'll enter today's date, your login, and your email so that we can accurately record your attendance. Okay. Thank you so much to my colleagues and to everyone.